What's up, Internet? This is Jeff Gretler, head brand ambassador here at Spiceworks, and today we have a special presentation for you. We are dusting off an oldie but a goodie. That's right. Today is how the spice works. So that's spice, space, works, because we shone the light on ourselves. So kind of pull the curtain back a little bit so you can see how the spice works makes spice works. So today we have a great guest. He's new to us, but not new to this industry. So please welcome Rich Brown. Rich, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jeff. Your wordplay there was on fire. So nice one.
I know. It's just like, I swear my dad was not like an old 80s radio shock jock. This stuff just falls in my head.
You're natural. You're natural.
So, man, I'm excited. Like, Rich, you have that personality. And I was telling Jason yesterday, Jason Heiner, our editor-in-chief from CNET yesterday, it's just like, you have that personality that you feel like when you just meet you, you feel like you've already known you. It's kind of strange. Like that's a superpower, right? Because you're just like, when I met you, I was just like, I feel like I already know Rich.
Huh. I've never heard that before, but I'll take it. I mean, everything. Everybody seems to really love you too, man. Like like, for one, the enthusiasm just for everybody, for Spiceworks, for each other. I mean, it's been so infectious since I started here back in March. Since you've made this move, doing video now, right, instead of being the IT director, all I've heard from people is like, Jeff's a natural. That's exactly where he should be. It makes a ton of sense. I don't know. Maybe we're just in our comfort zones and doing what we're meant to be doing.
Right. I think sometimes that we're just kind of, and especially in industries, you just, we get lucky in the sense where everything lines up and you just get the right team at the right time to just like get a spark going again. But Rich, I know that was like an informal interview, but I just like,
Yeah.
so your title here, like let's tell about what you're going to be doing for us here at Spiceworks.
Yeah. So I was brought in as editorial director. And my job is spinning up the editorial side, the content side on the main website, spiceworks.com. So, my history is, that's kind of what I've done throughout my career, is just working written content one way or another, mostly on CNET. But now I'm here and, we're really just going to focus on articles for the IT community, like writing, helping the IT community, with career advice, with career advice, day-to-day work advice. We'll get into product buying decisions and brand decisions and best practices. It's I know that Spiceworks has had editorial before, but we're kind of relaunching it. So it's a really cool opportunity, and it's really going to hinge on the community. So it's like a rare thing to come into a publishing environment where you have this built-in audience, but that isn't quite being served by the content yet. So
Yeah.
I'm psyched. It's a great opportunity.
No, you're here like at a perfect time. Like you said, Spiceworks was coming on 20 years. We went through a lot of iterations and reiterations, and I've been here for 14 of those almost 20 years. So we've seen it happen before. But there's one thing: it's kind of like chores at home, projects at home. There's always something to do. So like what you said, when you say like everything you just mentioned, it's just like yes, 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 yes. Like these are all always going to be necessary and always relevant, especially for you, like your origin story, right? You're not new to this. I mean, we have the benefits, right, of having these sibling brands that we will work with, and one of them is what I always kind of see is the crown jewel is CNET, right? And that's kind of the Rich Brown origin story does start at CNET, correct?
I actually got my start at PC Magazine, which is
wow,
another Zip Davis property. So I can't get away. Yeah, but no. So I did a couple of years in PC Magazine in college, sort of testing printers there for a couple summers, and then I was on staff for a couple of years, and then I moved to CNET in 2003. So I was in New York. I ran the desktop review section for CNET. Ton of fun. Got really into the weeds on gaming PCs and building PCs and CPUs and GPUs before 3D cards before GPUs was even a term. All the accessories, but really just desktops. Like I think I wrote over 1,000 desktop computer reviews
Oh wow.
in New York for about 10 years. Yeah, it was some of those were really exciting, but towards the end of that it got a little tough. Trying to get excited about the next gray box,
Yeah.
But yeah, so did that for a while, then got to dabble in 3D printer reviews for a while. That was really cool. That was a ton of fun as that kind of came on with MakerBot and some of those other folks. 3D Systems was another one. And then in 2013, they asked me to move to Louisville, Kentucky, to start CNET Home. So I moved my family out there, and we lived out there for 10 years. And so I hired up a whole team. We had a warehouse is what we started with for testing large appliances and small appliances and vacuums and all kinds of stuff. And then I still kind of can't believe this happened. We actually bought a house. 2 houses, and I can get into that, I suppose. But yeah, we had a house where we were testing all the smart home equipment. So we call it the CNET Smart Home. It was the place we ended up with was about 6,000 square feet, kind of in the middle of nowhere, the edge of town in Louisville, and yeah, it was amazing. It was this really cool opportunity to test all this stuff in a real residential environment with a really great group of people. Yeah, Louisville was just sort of a dream of an experience.
I love that, just like because I only think of like, the slugger or whiskey when you think of Louisville, but just
Yeah,
to think
totally.
that like there you have this house that's something, or even like the warehouse thinking, I think along, my movie brain jumps to like, Gremlins, the dad was the inventor and he was at that shop, he was at that conference where they were cooking all the stuff. But then also I think
Yeah,
like Willy Wonka, when you see all the stuffs like smokestacks and stuff, that's what it feels like that warehouse when we go there. That's what we're going to run into.
yeah. I mean, you may. I haven't been out there for a little while. I know, like the team is still out there cranking away. But that's what it really felt like when we were out there because we were charged with testing large appliances, which is just an insane undertaking to do that with
Oh,
any
yeah.
seriousness. I mean, you're having to kind of control every environmental variable, right? So if you're doing washing machines, you have to control like water pressure, water temperature, the hardness. You have to control the voltage. You have to control the clothing that you're using, that you're testing, and do all this crazy testing with different like lab produced materials to make sure you're getting sort of a balanced test from unit to unit. So I mean that's just one example. I mean we had a whole room that we designed to be able to test robot vacuums with a camera in the ceiling, and then we did sort of like an IR camera, and we put a glow stick on top of it so we could track the path of the robot as it moved around the floor.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was it was probably the most fun I've had in a professional setting. Just this constant stream of problem solving and
Yeah.
getting to be creative with a really great group of people. I was really lucky with the folks I found to work with out there. Um, it was just a ton of fun.
And I'm telling you, you're going to be right at home in the community, like in the Spiceworks community. Like there's so much. I'm not going to say the S word, the synergy, but there's so much, between these like the brands. It's just like these are the people that will be trying this stuff at home. Like I keep looking at my watch because I'm like, well, we set up this thing, but I got Roomba is ready to turn on. It's just like I've played with so many different like the tech at home. Of course, we're
Yeah.
natural IT professionals or natural tinkers. I mean, that's actually how I got into the industry because everyone's just like my origin story was just not like with. Of course, there's like pro wrestling, like everybody will jump to that because that was like a decade of my life, But
Yeah.
even during those times, I was, whatever you would call the tech person that understood how to use stuff. But I mean, even when I was little, I was the one that was figuring out. It was just like, oh, I'd never let anybody's house have a blinking 12 o'clock VCR light. I mean, I was like that rhino that went and stepped on fire. Like, I have to figure it out. I have to fix it. I had to figure out, I was like, oh, if we put these two together, we can record it. And then as time went on with like cable boxes and DVDs, like I always just tinkered with that stuff. So when my career came to kind of an abrupt, unplanned ending, because it was an unplanned, for something that was planned, there was an unplanned fall that kind of did my arm in.
Oh.
And it's just like, so while my arm was healing, I went to, my brother was actually going to, there wasn't even like IT career. Everyone was accidental IT pros then. It was more of just like for necessity. It's like, well, let me try this. He's going to computer school and you'll have like a minor in computer tech of just like putting stuff together. And it was one of those things that was just like, oh, I always liked doing this stuff, even down to the board. So then 2 years later, it's like, okay, that I like that. It's just like, are you going to go back now that you're healed up? I'm like, I don't know. This is pretty good. I made some money. I'm having some fun. So like, I get to tinker all day. So why? Like, maybe I'll just give this a run. And I moved up to not too far from you. I was in Connecticut, Wallingford, Connecticut. So I was in the
Mhm.
Northeast region, and I got a help desk. Well, it was actually a tape administrator job at Connecticut Hospital Association, where I was just in charge of like ejecting the backup tapes, pulling them out, and then putting them in, and then making sure they worked. And then like once you master that, it's just like, hey, there's some help desk tickets. You want me to go do that? And then like I answer a few tickets, and then 25 years later, here I am,
Here you are.
still doing it.
Yeah. So you also have a new kind of work situation here that I mean, it seems like a good segue based on what you were just describing. What's your story now?
Yeah, so like, again, there's just a lot of, Spiceworks has been through a lot of changes, but everyone knew like, if you've been in Spiceworks of any amount of time, when I started at Spiceworks in 2011 as the Windows Systems Administrator, I sort of like, it's a company for IT professionals, and I was one of the IT professionals at a company designed to help IT professionals. So almost kind of like, you know, if you were if you're an IT professional for a hair product company, you're going to get a lot of free hair product and free haircuts. Where when you're at Spiceworks, you're like, hey, we're thinking about doing this for IT pros, or how about this, or do you like this? They were always kind of pulling us into, the little huddle rooms and kind
Yep.
of using us as examples. Like, do you like this? Does this make sense? Is this stupid? Don't be afraid to tell us this is stupid. And we were, our department, we were always, straight shooters in that sense. But then eventually, cameras started rolling, and then my old wrestling background, when you see a red light, you're like, oh, I gotta go do something with this red light. It's on. Let's record. Let's do this. So it kind of like naturally turned into that. We always did a SpiceWorld blockbuster movie. So we just started filming like, hey, we should do a live show. And it's like, okay, you do this. And then, so I was always doing it part time, but like now fast forward, it got to that point that I just realized that I don't, I felt like I can serve not only this company, but our community better in this type of role of being an advocate, of being an ambassador, because the IT, it's almost just like I've been doing it for 25 years, and there's a lot of the next guard is coming up. And I felt like it would not only be a disservice to them, but maybe to me in a sense too, that like, am I going to just keep doing this, or do I want to take a leap of faith and do something that's scary but fun, because I've still also have already been doing it. So I had that discussion of like, hey, what about me just doing this full time? We'll leave the
Yeah.
IT for the IT pro for that guard coming up. And it's just like, I'm in a very unique situation, and I love this brand. I'll tell anybody with ears, I love this brand. I always have, and I still do. And I feel like we just scratched the surface, and the people, like when you meet them at Spice World, Rich, I'm telling you, this is a great community. This is such a positive experience, which is very tough for internet in 2025 to have a positive
Yeah.
experience. And when you meet these, with these pros in person, these men and women, and whether they've been around for a while, they inspire you in a way, because you realize that they have tough jobs,
Yep.
and our job is to make their tough job a little bit easier. And I'm like, so I feel like it just felt like a perfect match. And we we took the leap and talked to Sean, I talked to Jason, talked to HR, talked to everybody who talked, that I can talk to. And then it happened, and it worked out well. I mean, we have a great team. Then it was happened to coincide right when you came on board, and we still have Peter Sy. We have Z, we have Josh, we have a great community team.
Yep.
I'm like, I feel like right now we have such a great team that, like, let's go, man, let's go. I'm ready to go right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I feel. Let's get this going, and that's what we're. I mean, we've already started publishing some new content, and we're just more to come. That energy, though, like, I mean, that's been what I've told everybody since I've joined is that, and maybe I even said this already in this video, the enthusiasm that you have, that the rest of the community team has, that I get from the community itself. Just the love and the enthusiasm for this brand is just it's undeniable. It's just a cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and again, and it's like I said, as someone, I've been here 14 years, it's not going to go away on you, because what makes it a little bit easier is just like they become your friends. This isn't like they're not just somebody on the internet. They're not just a commodity. These are real people that are just like you and I. And it's great. Sean Dahlberg, he's the man. Been here just as long as I have. He has a picture that he always shows, and we did an update. It's just like the spice workers and the tech vendors and, the IT pros. And that's the community. It's not just the IT pros, but when they come together, they're so mixed and matched and have so much in common and bleeding together that it's just like a group of friends. Slava calls it, he's a great ambassador for our community as well, a very, active community member. He says just like, this is like a family reunion every year. And we did a Spice Core, which is just like the localized spice meetups that we want to, like, we can't have SpiceWorld every day, so let's do some local meetups.
Yeah.
And when we went to one in Corpus Christi, and in Texas here, and he's like, man, just at the very end, I started getting that SpiceWorld feeling again, because it's just like when we got together, it's just like it's very infectious. Is the TLDR of what you're feeling and what you just said.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings us to where we are now. Like, it's just like now we're a team. Everybody's pumped. Like, what are we going to do next? So, like, as far as like, what do you see for your role now? Like, the first thing that you want to just jump into?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to work on is really sort of establishing a great relationship with the community and bringing the community to bear in the content as much as possible. I mean, I wrote an intro post sort of introducing myself, and how I thought things would go on the content side. And the first sentence is, if you are an IT pro, Spiceworks is for you. And I really think that is going to be the key to making the content on the site valuable and useful, not only for the current people in the community, but hopefully for people on the outside who haven't quite come over yet, but see that this is really something we want to make valuable for the people that work in IT. A lot of that, from my point of view, is kind of getting to know the community more and sort of spending time in there. And if you see that Peter has an article that's live also, and he's got a lot of direct quotes from people in the discussion group, or in the discussion forum, to kind of make his points in the article, which is about how to get a job in IT, particularly if you don't have any experience. So that's an example. Some of the writers that I'm talking with to bring on to help us round out the content are people that come from the community. Some of them have writing experience. Some of them don't. I can't wait to see how that plays out. And I would love to create more of those opportunities as time goes on here. I said we want to grow, so there's definitely the consideration where, we want this place to feel welcoming, and we want it to feel broadly relevant to people who are in IT. So, we've got to kind of expand but the Spiceworks community really is sort of the guiding light for, how we're thinking about the voice, how we're thinking about what to write about, and, where we're going to look to for feedback.
I think, Rich, you're gonna be pleasantly surprised on, this community is they're very generous with their time. And we know, I can tell you, as somebody who was in IT for as long as I have, they are busy, but they are also very generous in time with their time, because they feel the sincerity when we go to them and realize that we're trying to help them. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this is a business, but the business, it's a lucky business, and we're in the business of trying to help them and make their lives easier. So they're very generous with their time, as far as like test groups and focus groups and beta groups. They will always, all day, every day, you will find tons of volunteers for that.
Fantastic. I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
I'd love to hear about video and sort of your side of this content business, right? Because that you're doing content too. What do you have in mind?
I mean, I'm thrilled, and at the highest level, no matter where there's somebody that can realize Spiceworks is a benefit to them, I want to be there to prove it to them. I don't want to just, I just don't want to sing it. I want to bring it, right? I want to show them the video of, like, this is what I'm talking about. This is your customer base that's passionate, and they're exactly what you're looking for, and they don't want any BS. So just go talk to them, right? And so I want to put a spotlight on the greatness of this community. I had a very I had a brief stop in the movie business, kind of like after, wrestling and well, during IT, actually, where I just got to produce and write a film, and it was fine. But one of the issues that you kind of had, that you almost felt like you lost with it, is there was no live energy, right? It's just like, that was great. Let's do it for the 40th time. Where I came from a wrestling background, it was just like there was one take. You were just on, it's just like, and I feel like I get that buzz when you're working at Spiceworks, especially like the live events. So not just the video, but finding, like, when we have these live events, whether it's Spice World or a Spice Core, or if we start, relaunching Spiceworks Unplugged, I want people to feel that energy that I feel when we're
Mhm.
doing this. So I feel like the only way to do that is in a video world, right? And now, fast forward now to 2025, where they say content is king, and everybody's consuming like all these videos. We have a weird distinction of, we were ahead of the curve. I mean, we're podcasting and live streaming back in 2012 and 2013, when people thought it was a fad, and then when we were going through our growing pains, all of a sudden the rest of the world not only caught up, but started like moving fast. But the unique spot is, we still can do that. It's not like we got left in the dust and we're left spinning. We're right here, and it's like, we can still do this. We still have all the talent to do it. And by talent, I mean the community. I'm not even talking, like, I'm just like, I want to be the facilitator of this, and to put a spotlight on how awesome this community is. Like, I'll use Josh Jones, our community manager extraordinaire. Like, he was in the community before that, before he came on to Spiceworks. But
Mhm.
like, we just, like, he put a post in there about like the old stuff post, and man, it just, like, the spark went off, and I was like, oh, I love looking at retro tech. And it's next thing you know, it turned into, like, we did a podcast, we did a live stream, we're doing like multiple shorts for socials, and now we're talking to the VCF Foundation. I haven't even gotten to tell you this yet. I'll tell you live while we're recording, that we're talking about trying to figure out how to do, have this vintage IT museum, which they do in New York and LA, and they're going to be in Dallas in June. Like, let's have one right at Spice World, because everybody that's here, whether
Of
you're,
course.
you have gray in your beard like me, and you recognize this stuff, or you're new to this and you're learning the history, it's just like, this is going to be, this is your audience. So I'm working on a lot of stuff like that, just to remind, again, the technology industry, that this is a great community. And like, if you want to, this is the place to, sell your wares, because we're, in the end, we're human beings, right? We're not connections, we're not leads, we're human beings. And if you get to know us, it's what you're going to want to do business with people that you trust and you like,
Yep.
than the other way around. And I think that's what this community offers. So I TLDR again, that's what I want to do. I just want to turn the camp red light on and point it at them and like this.
Yeah, I love that. Jeff, I'll say I can't wait to get to one of these live events, to get to Spice World for, in particular, and see that going. But I also want to see you work in the crowd. I've got big expectations for your mic game. I don't know if it feels like that is something that you would do pretty well. Maybe I'm making an assumption here. I don't know.
I mean, there was a, in the whole wrestling game, there was like not only the, learning how to fall safely, learning how to get hit safely, get, what we call getting hit hard in safe places. One of the other skills that you have to learn is the microphone, right? Because in the end, you're trying to tell a story, to sell a ticket, to get people to convince you why you should come see me get beat up or watch me beat somebody up. And I say that in quotes, right?
Yep.
So that's part of that, is just like what we call in wrestling working the stick, right? Like just getting on the mic. Now I don't have like what I used to, but I was a 20-year-old back then, right? Now I just go on my passion for just the career, right? And the brand, and I try to feed on that. I have a couple cohorts that you'll get to meet too, like Chelsea and stuff, that'll have that kind of same passion. And yeah, we'll work the mic. It won't be a "let me tell you something, brother" type interview, but it'll still be
I'm fine with
passionate.
that.
So just like at a glance, we're talking about like all the positive stuff, and not that this is negative, but like, what do you foresee as like, okay, this could be a little bit of a hurdle?
That's a really good question. I mean, not to get into the weeds on the media business, right? And what all the sort of pitfalls and trials and tribulations that come with that these days. Getting that visibility is always a challenge. Getting that
Yeah.
visibility beyond your own website, and that's why this community is so cool, because we have people here who evidently already like us. But you never kind of can tell what is going to happen with Google and what is going to happen with AI.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think we all know at this point, hopefully, that if you want to run a serious media business, you can't just turn it over to Chat GPT or something. You
Yeah.
really do need to have a human behind the keyboard. So even though I think our business has learned that lesson pretty, more or less, there's still it's still just tough. Like Google is going to do what it's going to do. So finding ways to reach people and get your content seen. There's a lot of things you can do to be creative with it, but that is, I mean, that's always the challenge in media, and
Yeah.
it's just it's become, as these longtime sites have sort of, you know I think the bottom line is they just need to adapt. People just need to learn to adapt, and that's what we will just always have to do.
That's one of the things that I learned very quickly in this industry, is you do have to adapt. And they always say, tech moves fast. They weren't lying. Tech is moving faster. They weren't lying. Like all that's accurate. And I would say, yeah, there's definitely a challenge that I see around that, of just like that adapting. But I'm going to agree with you. Like, if you would to say, like, what challenge do I think I'm going to face? I'm going to say visibility as well, but a little bit of a different slant on it, of just like reminding a new generation of the human connection, of your space is our audience. So that means you should know our audience, and convincing, like you're talking about convincing the recommendation system, the algorithm. I'm talking about the people, right? The technology vendors and the sales reps, because you're going to see some of the vendors, man. They get it too, and they're there, and they get it. So it's almost just like, why can't you be like them? They get it.
Yeah. I mean, we can only be who we are, right? So
Right.
I think we lean into that and just do the best we can.
Yeah. And it's just like, if you're the truth is a rock you can stand on. And I think that's what makes this, this new role the easiest for me. Cause I mean, I don't have to be disingenuous. I don't have to weave a story. I just I just shine a light on the story. And that story is something that, could make this industry better.
Yeah. I mean, and that's at the end of the day with content, and I've been writing about all kinds of tech for years and years and years, and the thing that I have always found the most interesting about it is the story behind it, is the arc. Like
Yeah.
writing about Intel chips from generation to generation. How did that evolve? How did AMD respond? What is the latest thing from NVIDIA? Does that matter now? Will it matter later? What is AMD going to do about it? Just sort
Right.
of taking that and getting your hands around that and then communicating something back to your readers. I mean, you're bringing them along in that story and then hopefully giving them some useful advice about it. I mean, I think the story, it's such a cliche, but it's so true that
I
the
know.
storytelling is what resonates in this business.
I'm fascinated, as you can tell, by going to the movies. But like, and people are like, you worried about movies? And I'm like, bro, I'm not worried about movies, because I would have been the one sitting at the campfire when there was no screens and no media, listening to the elder telling the stories, right? Because it's just like, that was the movies back then. It's just like, there's always going to be that storytelling element of just like, not only in business, but in life. And that's what always fascinates me. Is like, I like telling the stories, but I just as much love as listening to the stories.
Yeah.
As we get to the home stretch here, let me ask you this: like, where do you see Spiceworks in a perfect world? If you had your druthers, like, let's just jump ahead like 5 years. Where would you like to see Spiceworks?
Yeah. So let's see. I have a wish list of content ideas and concepts and things I'd love to see happen. Just call it like a vision board or something. One of them is tap into the Spiceworks community to do a big collaborative investigative report, and then we all win a Pulitzer because we've blown up some grand story about IT and something or other. So
That would
that's a
be
goal. Uh,
fantastic.
but no reason we couldn't try for that. But I also think more day to day sense. I really want there to be a what we will have is a steady beat of coverage around all the major topics that resonate with this audience and that aim us towards growth. I really want to make it known to IT pros and the people who love them that Spiceworks is the place to find out information about your career, information about what's going on in the industry. I want it to be a place where we're doing work that matters. We're writing stories that matter to this audience,
Right.
and that's that, and that will be on a place where that is maybe a new experience, and it will just be the expectation. That's sort of where I would like to be, and doing that probably in collaboration with ZDNet and Aberdeen Research and some of the other places across the Ziff Davis portfolio.
Yeah. No, we got a strong suite, that we're going to be working with. I think that people would have been nervous about, but I always got excited about, because I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, all these puzzle pieces are all fitting together like so well.
I think there's a lot of power and and kind of collaboration there that we can tap into.
Yeah.
How about you? 5 years on, what are we doing for video?
Well, you're in for a treat, because we are completely aligned. I mean, obviously, the IT guy in me heard the stuff when you're talking about career center and job and sticking up with it. It would have always been great to have that one space that we can always just go to. We don't have to like search around. We just knew if we go here, right, that that technology town hall where we can go and this is all it is. So to align with that, like as far as like the video portion of it, I've been telling people for years we should be the ESPN of IT. That's the only way to really explain it. Like we should be the ESPN of IT where we're reporting around the clock, even if we have Spiceworks Ocho and we're just reporting on a small, or just like the main things, like, so for 5 years from now, I want to do that. Like now I'm finally in the positions of, instead of telling everybody this is what we should do. Now I'm in the position that I got to make it happen. I got to do it. And I'm excited to do it. I'm not scared like, oh, now I got to do it. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it, because we should 100% already be in that space. If Apple or any other vendor decides that they're going to drop a device, you're damn right I want to do a watch along and I want to talk about it in our community and I want to give you content to write about it. And then I want to have a podcast about it and I want to have all that because we are IT. It's all right here. Like what, we shouldn't have to go to any outside sources because it's literally all right here in this space. Like anybody who's not in this space, they're missing out because this is where the industry is. So I compare it to that like that. Like I would like to have us as the ESPN of IT, and as far as like even our YouTube space, I almost compare it to like the First We Feast. Everybody knows Hot Ones. That's their one show. They got multiple shows on there. Hot Ones is just their crown jewel. I want Spiceworks to have that. And you're not, trust me, you're not going to want to see this on every show. I'm talking about everybody from the spice workers to our technology vendors to our spice heads. There's so much talent in here, Rich. There's so much talent and there's so many interesting people. I just want to be the person that facilitates and puts that light on that. So if everybody could have their own type show on YouTube, like if you feel passionate about it, I want to do a show about it and I want to share it and I want to get it out there. And just like all I ask is we put that Spiceworks logo right there up on the top corner, because I feel like at least Spiceworks is where it's at. I don't think we've ever used that. We've used a lot of iterations of everything IT and boot it up. It's just like, it's where it's at. It's where IT is at.
Again with the wordplay.
But yeah, that's what it is. But Rich, I can't let you leave without just like asking some of the Sean Dahlberg like hard hitting questions.
Yeah, bring it.
So if you're ready, and that's what we'll do is like wind down. So like we talked all about the tech and stuff like that. So what do you do to like wind down, or hobbies that you do that may not even include any kind of technology?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm a gamer from way back. So definitely put my time in on Steam. Playing a game called War Tales right now. It's pretty fun.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. I'm a woodworker. Sort of self-taught, aspiring, definitely weekend warrior. But I have a ton of fun with that. It helps me blow off steam and just kind of keeps those creative juices flowing. I like to cook, but I've got a couple kids also, and a couple dogs and a cat. So my wife and I are really busy, just sort of keeping the family afloat. Also, so that's great too. I'm lucky.
Yeah, no, you are very lucky. It's funny. I'll share this story with everyone here because it was funny because I was embarrassed by it, but I don't mind shining light. I've gotten wedgies on TV, so I'm okay with embarrassing myself. Like it was the first one of the first meetings that we had with you, and you were just talking about your dogs and cats because I also have a fleet of dogs and cats, and it was like your first call, and it was like an intro, and you're kind of like, this is where I want to kind of see things going. And all of a sudden you're like, Jeff, is everything okay? Do you not agree with me? Because I must have had like, I just sucked on a lemon sour face. But I just realized that it's just like, you probably thought I was making the face at you. And just like my dog, like when the other dogs leave and she gets left behind, she makes this like so high pitched whine that it sounds like a train whistle, like your ears are about to
Oh
bleed.
no.
And I made that face just as you basically came in with your mission statement, and you just see me all of a sudden like making a face like, oh my God, like what are you doing? And then I felt so embarrassed, and I'm like, Rich, I swear it was the dog.
You
It
know,
was
my
not.
dog just started barking as you said that. I don't know if Mike caught it, but I don't know. I think that means we believe you.
Yes. Well, it's just something like that we all learned from 2020 that like, dogs now hate the Amazon man, not the mailman, and leaf blowers are the enemy of any Zoom meeting that exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I still keep up with pro wrestling. It's like there is no 12-step program to retire. You say you retire and you still kind of keep up. And there's always that part of you just like, can I do that again? So I'm actually also do kickboxing coaching.
Oh,
So I
very
get
cool.
that was kind of like my physical activity. I'm kind of in between gyms right now, so I don't get to do it as actively, but I just love the pad work. I just love that live energy feel of just like, wow, this is just so awesome. And then obviously I'm a movie guy, and Austin, Texas is great for movies. Like if you go to Alamo Drafthouse, the America Genre Film Archive, every week they have Terror Tuesday, Weird Wednesday. Once a month they do the Video Vortex, which is like a Mondo Monday. So I love like retro screenings. I have a screen that I hang up in my backyard to have like those backyard movie nights too. So
That's
I mean,
awesome.
I kind of grew up, around movies.
Uh-huh.
Just like I remember, like we were talking about hooking up technology. I would be my mom was like, okay, we rented these 3 VHS tapes and here's some blank tapes. I need you to do that. So everything we'd rent, I just record. And I'm just like, we had betas, so that was my foray into tech and
Uh-huh.
movies, like two of like my huge passions. And I do have another YouTube page that I do as well. That's all about that. So if you ever want to go look at Dos Incredibles, that's me and our other video guy, Mario. We just let it rip. Like we're not movie critics. It's not like Siskel and Ebert by any stretch, but we have some fun opinions that we share
Nice.
about
Check
movies.
that
So,
out.
all right, final question, Rich, and then we'll call it.
All right.
It's the most important question of everything we just talked about
Uh-huh.
today.
Uh-huh.
Is that peanut butter creamy or is it that peanut butter crunchy?
Gotta be crunchy.
Got to be crunchy.
My kids are they will only ever have creamy peanut butter, but for me it's crunchy. No
All
question.
right. I just feel like as somebody that you said was a woodworker, I feel like crunchy tracks.
Huh.
I don't know
I don't
why
know
that.
that I ever would have correlated those two things, but I will take your word for it. You're the one
Like you
who
said, that's
you're the
just
one who
my.
knows this question.
That's how my brain works. Like when you're talking about you're doing woodworking as your hobby, and I'm like, huh, he goes out and works on a router, and then he comes in and he writes about routers. Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here.
What about you, crunchy or creamy?
Oh man, it's just like to quote Star Wars, only a Sith deals in absolutes. So I feel like it's sometimes, but I don't want to do a cop out and say probably would lean towards creamy just for the simple fact is sometimes I'll swirl a little honey in there.
Hmm.
But that being said, if you want it to feel like a meal, it should be crunchy. But like if I had to like if you're like, okay, you're gonna be stuck on an island, here's 5 songs you're allowed to pick and one type of peanut butter, I guess it would at that point it would be creamy.
I'm gonna give you a food tip if you're talking about peanut butter and honey. Do you know what chili crisp is?
No.
So it's this. It kind of got trendy maybe 5 years ago. It's this Chinese condiment. You'll sometimes see it on the table at a Chinese restaurant. You can buy it in any store. It's or any grocery store. It's oil, it's garlic, it's peppers, it's all kinds of herbs and spices, what have you, in there in this drizzle. So peanut butter, honey with some chili crisp on it.
Wow.
Thank me
I'm
later.
I'm 100% gonna try that because I know people were honey and pizza became a thing. So now I feel like, okay, I trust you because I was like, I think I can make that work. A little bit of spice, a little bit of savory, a little bit of sweet.
That's right.
That sounds like that sounds like heaven. We're gonna do that. So All right, Rich. Thank you so much for this. I appreciate taking the time to, chat with us and give everybody a perspective on Rich Brown.
Yeah, this is awesome. And I'm just psyched to be here. It's like to dive in, get into the community a little bit more, get get content going up, and I can't wait to meet everybody at SpiceWorld.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, man. Thank you, for taking the time. And I feel like we did a co-interview there. So thank you for giving me a chance to tell my story a little bit as well.
Yeah, of course.
So, all right, Rich. Well, I end every video with a line. So that means the red light's going to turn off. So that's it here for us today. Don't forget to tech yourself before you wreck yourself. We'll see you next time.